in the float tank, when you're laying there, you can actually feel your body realigning. It's almost like going to a chiropractor and you get a little crack here, and it's just your body aligning back to the natural spot where it needs to be. So that's just an amazing benefit as well.
Welcome to Whole-ly Chit. I am your host, Kristy Austin, here to remind you that you are whole. Chit, a Sanskrit word for pure consciousness, why I started this podcast. I am super excited to introduce our guest today. And first, I want to thank Nick and Chris over at Lux Media for all the editing that they do here. I want to make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment. They're amazing. Thank you, Lux Media. And today's guest, the owner of ReVibeU Float Center in Tempe, Bryan Perez. I'm super excited to have you on today. Thank you for being here. Hello, Bryan.
Hello, Kristy. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. My first podcast ever, so excited about that.
Oh yes, I'm excited to have you here. I promise I won't ask too hard questions. I don't bite unless you ask. But I just tried your center out yesterday for the first time.
Good.
Awesome, absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed it. It was so. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. I already, explained that you are the owner of a float center. So explain to us who you are, how you got into this journey.
Okay. So yeah, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. So kind of coming out of the corporate world into a whole new world. So this has been an exciting venture for me. Started out a little bit rocky, and that's how I think a lot of times life, our life changes, and the best things in life sometimes come through the hardest struggles. And that was really, for me, that was the case. I'll give you kind of a brief background. Being an engineer by trade, and I'm kind of fell into the people pleaser category, always trying to help people, solve people's problems, sometimes taking on too much myself. I think a lot of us can fall into that category, but I was always able to maintain it. I felt like I was blessed with the ability to handle a lot, maybe broad shoulders, if you call it that, whatever it is. But at one point, September 10th, 2021, those shoulders weren't broad enough to handle, the situation that life threw at me. And so at that point, I broke. And I've told a little bit about this. I did do a little video on my site, but and it's tough to talk about because it is very personal for me, and it gets me a little emotional even when I tell the story. But just life circumstances, family struggles, kids, marriage, everything, work. It all kind of tumbled down all at once, and I broke. I had a midlife crisis, didn't know what to do. Just yeah, I literally jumped in my swimming pool, fully clothed, just to try to get my emotions in check, and it, it helped, but I was still just in a very vulnerable spot. And I remember I called my little brother, who's kind of, at the time, I just didn't know what else to do. I needed to talk to somebody, and he had encouraged me to go and try this float place that I had tried a couple times before. I'd done it twice before. And I enjoyed it. He said maybe get a massage or go to that float place, and I ended up coming to the float place. And I kind of joke around. I walked into the door, and tears still kind of in the eyes, and still in a very tough place. Got into a tank of 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt. Dark, no sound, and just let my mind go, and just tried to relax and tried to get under control. And what happened was amazing. It was life-changing for me. It was an awakening. Everything kind of came into perspective. When I try to explain it to people, it was almost like I was able to zoom back out of my life, and from a higher perspective, and just see the scope of everything that I was struggling with and all the pieces of my life, good and bad, but I could see how they all fit together to get me to where I was. And it was a beautiful, amazing thing. It was just filled with love and all these good thoughts, everything that was, consuming me that day, the stress and this isn't going to work, this is falling apart, this is all these bad things that were happening. They all just floated away. They drifted away, literally in the float tank. They floated out of my consciousness, and I was there just in peace and joy, and it gave me a new kind of sense of life, something I'd never experienced before, energy that I had never experienced before. And I know, Kristy, you talk a lot about energy and just kind of feeling that, and I had never, I think I spent a lot of my life kind of numb a little bit to some of that. I was living the American dream the way I was told to live it. And so when I doing that, I kind of neglected myself and finding myself in who I was. And that day, the worst day and the best day of my life, all at the same time, it was amazing. I came out of the float tank and I just said, I have to get involved in this somehow. I got to spread the word. Everybody should know about this. It was like this passion was just, it came to life. Um, a year and a half later, eventually I ended up buying the business. And so now here we are trying to I guess go through the next struggle in life, which is being a small business owner, which is a whole new set of issues and struggles. But it's so amazing, and meeting people like yourself, Kristy, that have been on similar journeys and trying to find themselves and really be the best that we can be. That's what it is. So that's kind of the quick version of where we're at now, and yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I think that we do live our lives what we think, how we think we're supposed to live them, and what happens is we become disconnected to ourselves. So then these traumas happen and we realize we've lost touch with who we are, at our core, and we realize that we are disconnected. So then when you go into this float tank, you're reconnecting with yourself, and it's so powerful. It's so powerful to have this awakening.
Right.
That
It's amazing.
yes,
You can't even
awakening.
put words to it, really, right? I mean, it's hard to explain. When I try to explain it to people, it's like I've heard people say it's like being in the womb again. You have that innocence. You're back to, you know, through life we get so preconditioned on people telling us this is right, this is wrong, this is how you should do things, this is how you shouldn't do things. As a little kid, you don't have any of that, right? You're fresh, you got a clean slate, and you just want to have fun and be happy and live life. The only thing you really need is, food and, to be changed if you're a baby, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But, we get to this point where we get so overcome by all of these conditions and everything else, we can lose ourselves. And I feel like I did lose myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying it was after the very first float that you had this
So no,
awakening.
it was actually the third float. So the first float was very relaxing and I loved it. I felt like, oh, this was, I'd never experienced anything like that. It was a full body relaxation, felt like a mind reset, like I was kind of a little more clear, a little more clarity. I enjoyed it. The second time I came back and I really loved it. And I actually did, I believe at that point I may have gotten a membership. I don't remember, but I really liked it. But then just like anything else, we we tend to neglect the things that are good for us, right? We're so focused on helping everybody else, or at least I was, focused on doing things for other people or trying to, you know, be successful in my life, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, whatever that goal was. But it wasn't really centered around me and the core of me and making myself the best version of me that I could be. And so it took that tragedy, it took that breaking, that midlife crisis, that falling into pieces, just that utter brokenness to get me to that situation where I took care of myself. I came in and it's kind of funny because I thought I had meditated before, and until that day, I realized, holy shit, I have never meditated, or at least I had never gotten to that state. And it was profound. It was amazing. And ever since I've, started playing with, other modalities that can get me into that realm, get me into that state, being, whether it's yoga, sound healing, breath work, all of these things that are available. I have a vibe system from Bioharmonics, a vibe bed that is, uses vibration and sound to create some similar change frequencies, right? That's the whole idea. And I don't know if you can see the shirt, right? But it's reviving people, revive. That was the name when it came to me was from the passion of what, the vision. It's we need to revive as a nation, as a community. And it starts here. It starts right here in Arizona, right in our backyard, right where we're at with your family, with your friends, reviving those people so that they can find themselves. And when that happens for me, it's just an outpouring of love, right? The perspective becomes, what are your priorities? And rather than, being success in the workplace or financial success or money, it becomes when love is the center of that, when love is your ultimate goal and love is the top priority, everything else just falls into place. And that's amazing to see and experience and live life that way. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Super exciting. Yeah, and I love meeting other people that are on similar journeys. So it's great. Yeah.
I love that you said that it starts in your backyard, because it's so true. People say, well, how do you change the world? You change yourself. It starts
Change
here.
yourself first. Starts there. Absolutely.
That's exactly. So I love the
Yeah.
fact that you said that. That's truly where it begins, is with self-love, awareness.
Yeah.
From that grows love to all those around us. And I want to get back to your center, Revive You. I love what you did with the place. It doesn't just have the floats. You have this waiting room that has like yoga mats and this nice Zen area where you can like
Right.
do yoga and stuff. I thought that was really cool. I walked through and I was like, oh, this. And then you got this oils around. You have tea that you can drink. You created a really nice space where afterwards you can just kind of zen out
Right.
also. And
Right.
so I appreciate you for creating this center, but I want to get back to what the benefits are of floating, because you had mentioned you were going through a lot of trauma. So that would be emotionally, mentally, but then physically you had some issues going on as well, correct?
Yeah, so physically, I mean, I think we all do in some sense, right? We don't necessarily take care of ourselves the way that we should physically. We don't give our bodies the rest that we should. I'm kind of have inherited the workaholic mentality, right? Where we work, 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 and that's kind of that's life, right? As we work hard and we do, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can become something when it consumes us and it becomes the first priority. So I think just physical tiredness and not being as healthy as I needed to be. Getting in the float tank is amazing on the physical sense as well, because it gives you um, the ability to, I guess, totally relax, right? From a physical standpoint, your body's not under compression, tension. All your joints are in a neutral state. It's almost like floating in space. It really is, because you take away. It's the only way other than floating in space that you can really take away gravity 100%, right? So there's really no gravity, and it's not entirely 100%, but as close as we can get. So all of your joints in your body get this opportunity to align. And sometimes I'll joke with people in the float tank, when you're laying there, you can actually feel your body realigning. It's almost like going to a chiropractor and you get a little crack here, and it's just your body aligning back to the natural spot where it needs to be. So that's just an amazing benefit as well for athletes. It's great recovery. A lot of athletes are starting to catch on to it. And for me, the biggest thing is just, the risk reward. We look at anything in life, and that's kind of what it falls down to, risk and reward, right? So, what risk is it to do this activity or to do this thing, and what is the reward? And for floating, the risk is minimal. The risk is getting salt in your eyes and a little sting. That's it. There is no really side effect. People have been doing floating started in the 1950s, so it's been around forever. Epsom salt baths. When people want to relax, what do? Go take an Epsom salt bath. It's amazing, right?
I've
Yeah,
always done the Epsom salt baths. Is it
yeah.
Epsom salt that's in the float tanks?
Yes, yes, it is Epsom salt. It's Epsom salt, and so the key ingredient there is magnesium, right? So magnesium in the Epsom salt, and we know magnesium is a calming agent. It's very good to help you relax, and so it's a natural byproduct of the Epsom salt. So it's in there, and that's really after you do a float, if you struggle with sleep issues, if you can't sleep, it really helps with that. It just balances the nervous system. If you think about our nervous system, 90% of our nervous system is sight, sound, and touch, right? So that's our brains are always processing those things. Now we have taste and smell as well, but those are pretty easy to control for us for the most part. But the other ones are very difficult to control. And so when you get into a isolation tank, we have the ability to take that 90% away. So our brains don't have to process anything except for really what's internal. We've taken away the five senses. So when you take those five senses away, you actually change the frequency of your brain. So instead of running in this beta state that's always processing things day in and day out, you change into an alpha or theta state even, that your brain can things can slow down, the frequency can change, and it becomes just a totally different experience. And you get to almost, I joke around, it's almost like exploring a different part of your brain that you don't get to, that you've never been in. So that time, the first time when I found that, it was a new world to me. It was a new perspective, a new way of looking at things. And the beauty of that was afterwards, it was much easier for me to offer grace to people. It was much easier for me to not judge people, to not be judgmental, to feel love and compassion for people that maybe didn't feel that way towards me, because I could see the perspective and I understood that the hate or the anger or the whatever that's coming from that person is coming from what they've been conditioned to, the life they've lived, the struggles they've had, the trauma they've experienced. It's not their heart, it's not who they are. And to see that in clarity in real time and understand that to the core of who you are is amazing. And that's why my passion, my vision is to share this with everybody, because we need this as a society, like I said, as a community, as a world, um, to get rid of this, the ugly things of war, hate, fighting, crime, all of that, right? It's because we've lost track of who we are.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
Yeah, and hurt people so
Absolutely.
realizing when someone's attacking you or they're saying something in a cruel way, truly not to take it personally, because it's not an attack on you. It is a reflection of how they are feeling within themselves.
Right.
So it is their own hurt, and they want to lash out because they want to hurt others so they can feel their pain.
Yeah.
So to have compassion and love for that person who's attacking you, it's a whole new level of awareness. And it took me a long
Right.
time too, because I used to take things personally. Now it's like, yeah, I don't take it personally anymore. I have
Right.
compassion and love for the people that try to attack me. On social media, there's always people that will try to
Always.
say, you see, you deal with that. So now we live in a new age where people can attack very easily behind a computer and not have their face seen. But really having compassion and love and knowing that that's really coming from a place of hurts. And I love that you mentioned the magnesium, because it's true. Our skin is our largest organ. So we're
Yep.
absorbing that magnesium, which so many of us lack, we are deficient in. So
Right.
we're absorbing it through our organs and healing, um, pulling out toxins and healing our joints. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that. It's physically, it helps with pain, as well as emotionally, mentally. I have a friend who mentioned that they've reached psychedelic states while in the float tank before. I thought that
Yes.
was amazing. I was like, what?
It is amazing, yeah. So that is another part of it, because when you get into those deeper states, into the thetas and the deltas, right? That's when you get into those psychedelic states, or you can, um, and that's pretty amazing just to see where the mind can go, and the healing power that we have internally, right? Our bodies are so, and our minds are so capable of healing ourselves. And we don't realize that. We don't give ourselves enough credit. We think that we need a pill. We think that we need, a doctor to give us a medication. And I'm not saying that that isn't the case in some situations, but there's so much that we can heal on our own. One of my big focuses is on, veterans, military, first responders, those people that experience trauma in ways that are beyond, our imagination, right? They see things that nobody should ever have to see. And a lot of times they don't get the support or the guidance that they need to deal with those traumas. How do you process something like that? So that's something that I really want to reach out to and understand, because when people come into a float tank, especially these people struggling with PTSD, it helps you to deal with it and understand and work through through that type of trauma. So rather than turning to a substance, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, to try to mask that or to try to cope with it. Even our doctors, we prescribe some of our military when they come out of when they come back home, right? We give them drugs to try to help them cope with the pain or the situation that they're feeling, and that's not really a healthy way to do it, right? You got to get to the core of the problem, not just masking the symptoms. So I feel like floating, some sound, vibration. We're doing open to yoga. So the spot in the back that you're talking about, our lounge, we're going to actually do our first yoga and float event on the 13th of December. So that's going to be super exciting. Kristy, I would love to have you do a session here with us as well at some point if you're interested, a little yoga and float.
Absolutely, I would love
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, very intimate. It's a very intimate spot, right? It's small groups of people, but we did one before. We did a sound and float, which was amazing as well. So we're going to be doing that again with Abigail, who you've had on your show. She's amazing, and then Jen, who now works with me, is going to be doing another session in December. We're putting together. So yeah, we got a lot planned, a lot of events, and it's really about building community. It's about
Yes.
building love, and the only way that this vision happens is from people like you, myself, other people that are willing to step out in faith and share the experience of love, change, and healing. That's what we need. So
Yes. I love that. So people can find, I love the fact that you have events there. I didn't know that you are doing so many events, but
yeah,
that is a very nice, intimate room. I know exactly what room you're talking about. So people can do the event and then float after or before. Is
right.
that the way?
Yeah, so depending on so when we do like sound healing, sound baths, typically we like to do the the float first. So you get into that nice relaxed state, you're in that Zen state, and then you go back, you lay on your mat and you just absorb the vibration and the sound. And it's amazing. It's like a double whammy, right? Now with yoga, it's probably the other way around. We'd like to do the yoga first to kind of get warm and get the body moving. I know you're a big advocate of moving the body around, and so that's good, right? You get the movement going. And then at the end, as you're settling down and you're coming into that state, then we get into the float, and then it just extend that nice, relaxing Zen state afterwards. So it's going to be super amazing.
And do you
Really
post
excited.
events on your website, your RevibeU website?
Yeah, RevibeU.com. We'll start posting there, and we do a lot on social media. So we're on Instagram and Facebook are the primaries, right? So we'll post our events there as well.
Please give us
So
your plug in all those social media accounts. We'll attach it on the bottom of this video as well.
great.
Let us know, for those people watching right now, how they can find you, where they can find you, and are you open to people reaching out to you on social media, asking questions?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what it is. So Revive You it's a place where you can be you. That's the other thing. We have a little hidden messenger in the logo, right? It's be you. So I wanted to create a safe space. Like regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what you've done, where you've been, we're here for you, right? Because we know that deep down inside, right, there's a beautiful, amazing human being inside. So we want to bring that out. We want you to find who you are, just like I did, just like you have, just like we're all on this journey. We're learning about ourselves, and I just want to create a space and a place that people can do that, right? They can be comfortable and they can find who they are. They can find themselves. They can enjoy other people that are on the same path, the same journey. We're going to do some fun stuff too. I want to do some music events, kind of silent disco maybe. Get the float pods jamming, some loud music going, just feeling those other vibrations, because vibrations in music can be healing in a fun way as well. So I was just thinking about, I know I've heard your story about climbing up, that you like to hike and climbing up and just moving your body around, or sometimes just shaking. You want to shake out. A lot of times when I meditate, my body will start to move a little bit. I'll start to twitch or shake, and I used to fight it. And I used to stop my body, or try to stop it from shaking or thinking I was twitching. Then I started to let it go, and I started to let it just twitch and move, and just the release of that energy is amazing, right? When you start to let your body do what it needs to do. So all things that we're learning. I'm not an expert. I'm learning as I go. I'm learning by experience. I'm learning from other people. And that's what it's all about. That's what the community needs to be:
Learn from
learning, healing, loving.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the communities that help each other to learn and grow and evolve our consciousness together. I think
Yes.
thank you so much for being here. We didn't get your Instagram, so tell the Instagram, the website again, so where we can find you.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
all
don't
Revive You. It's just Revive You. Everything is Revive You.
at you
Straight
Revive, they can
at
find you on
Revive You.
Instagram, anywhere else.
We have Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I believe I'm not very good on social media, admittedly. So I have people that are trying to help me out with that. But so we're still growing on there. So we need followers. We need to kind of get that building. It's in the early stages. A lot of my early stages in the business, we're just trying to get things going, operational stuff. So I'm just barely tapping into the marketing and promotion side and trying to spread the word. But this is the biggest thing, right? I can't make it. This business won't make it if people don't come and experience it, right? If the community doesn't kind of come together and and uh, and 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 feed the business, right? And not just the business, but really each other, and growing that vision and spreading that love. That's really what it's about. And I know it's going to work. I know it's going to be amazing, and I know it's going to change a lot of lives. And I actually do want to start a podcast as well, so I can have people that have floated come and share their experiences. I just talked to one of my customers that hadn't been in for a while, and she took some time off, just thinking, "Oh, I've been doing this." She was a regular all the time, dealing with her depression and MS and some other stuff. And this was her medicine. And she thought, I'm doing really good now, so I'm going to stop for a little while, just take a break. She came back a couple days ago after, like, a month and a half break. And she said, I should have never taken a break. This is the best thing ever. I got her back to where she needed to be. So it was just really good to hear stories like that. And I want to be able to share those with other people, because that's how we're going to get people to come in here and do something good for themselves and start to take care of themselves, is by seeing other people that have gone through similar struggles and can get to the other side, right? Because sometimes we lose hope, and we just think that it's, that we're not going to make it, or there's nobody cares, or there are people out there that care. There are ways to heal, and I want to just share that with as many people as possible.
Keeping ourselves as balanced as possible on a day-to-day basis is very difficult. So having
Absolutely.
these tools and techniques, whether it's yoga, meditation, floats, cold plunges, whatever it is, or a combination of all, whatever it is, to keep yourself balanced and to get the word out, and to have an awareness and awakening of how these float tanks work. So a lot of people are like, float, you go sit in a float, sit in water for how long? You don't really truly understand
Yeah.
of it.
Yes.
So to be able to express the benefits and people talk about their experiences so that you can have a better understanding of it, or the people listening have a better understanding. You never know who you're going to reach that might be like,
Right.
what, I want to try that out, and whose life
Yeah.
you can change. So Bryan, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing a piece of yourself with us. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that you are opening up the safe space for people to heal, and
Sure.
starting with themselves. I love
Right.
you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I appreciate you. It was amazing. And yeah, I can't say enough. I really appreciate you bringing me on the show and letting me share my heart. It means a lot.
Yes,
Sure.
we need more people like you spreading love and
Um,
awareness, and sharing your journey,
yeah.
helping others to heal their own. Thank you.
Amen. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kristy.
All right. So remember, stay tuned for next week's episode of Whole-ly Chit. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Flex Media.